Hi, this is Derrik Jordan. Welcome to the World Fusion Show, where we bring you the leading innovators in world fusion music. Today, my featured guest is Julian Gerstin. He is a composer, percussionist, ethnomusicologist, teacher, and visionary musician. Julian and I go way back to Bennington College, where we studied together. We studied at the same time with master drummer Milford Graves. And Julian's going on to work with many other people. Welcome, Julian.
Thank you. Thank you, Derrik.
So glad you could be here with us today. So great. So, where did you grow up? How did you get into music? What was your initial inspiration?
Initial inspiration was hanging out at parties, being afraid to talk to girls, but the guys who were playing guitars over in the corner didn't have to talk to girls, and they got attention. So I picked up a pair of bongos and I started playing along with my psychedelic rock records. This is the late 60s.
Yeah.
And then kept playing bongos and started on congos, but it was all self-taught all the way till Bennington, where I started to meet people.
Really?
Who showed me.
You didn't have teachers before that?
No. I grew up in the suburbs.
So was it bongos all the way till then? Or?
Bongos till Bennington,
wow,
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then you started working with congas, I think, right?
Yeah. Sydney Smart.
Sydney.
Remember him? Yep.
That's right.
A couple other people.
Mm-hmm.
Milford, of course.
Yes.
And then after that, I moved on to Chicago.
Yeah.
And started actually playing in band. And then I took some more lessons in Chicago, and then actually got serious in the late 70s, early 80s when I moved to Seattle.
Right.
And started playing in bands and finding teachers who really knew something about Latin traditions.
Sure. And you were drawn to Latin music.
Yeah. Conga is a Cuban instrument, and it's like that's the music that instrument was originally meant for.
That's true. Yep. That's true. And Milford was very interesting. Well, he was a wonderful conga player.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. I mean, just incredible expression.
Yeah.
In fact, before I heard him play congas, I never really heard the instrument.
Yeah.
He was talking on that instrument. I was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Except we had completely different experiences of him, and that would make a really cool show sometime.
Maybe
I
sometime.
never saw him play congas.
You never saw him play?
I never saw him play congas.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my God. Well, for another time.
Yeah.
So one thing that we've discussed before the show was about this idea of cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Right? Now, let's talk about it just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we have slightly different views on it, but I wanted to know what you think about it. And here we are, after all, two white guys playing and promoting music that is not music we actually grew up with.
Right.
So we've adopted this. And try to be respectful, of course.
Right.
But I want to know kind of where you come from in that.
I think respect is like the main thing, and learning something about it. I don't like it when it's done superficially. I don't like it when people are trying to appropriate it and make a lot of money from it, which some groups do. You and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
We make a living, but we don't make a lot of money. It's important to me to give back to the community that I've learned from, whether it's through teaching or research. I've done a lot of research. I've lived in the Caribbean. I've documented traditions there. I've published about them. That's a way of giving back.
Sure.
I work with musicians from most of the cultures who I play with. Like I work with Cuban musicians, I've worked with South African, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Martinican, of course, because I lived in Martinique.
And that's a specialty of yours, I would say.
Yeah. The tanbu drum that you'll see in the clip is
which
from
is
Martinique.
coming up real soon.
Yeah.
In fact, why don't we just do that right now? Let's go to that first video clip where you're doing a solo on the tambu. And this is actually from a piece where it's using, the tambu is special because you use a very special foot technique with this drum. That's very unusual. But also, I think in this piece you were telling me, you're using a Bulgarian rhythm.
Yes.
11/8.
Yeah.
So this is a true world fusion.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we go to that clip right now?
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So that really shows this specialized technique
Yeah.
that's used in this Martinique drum.
It's not so much the foot as it is the left hand.
There's a lot of hand stuff too.
The foot is easy. You
Wanna
just
talk
raise
about
and
the
lower your
hand?
foot. Yeah. It's really a technique that I've only ever seen on frame drums.
Oh yeah.
And it involves, a sideways wrist action.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's typical of frame drums, and it works on that drum because that drum has a very thin, large head, so it's got a lot of ringiness to it.
Right, right. So
why they developed that technique, I don't know.
right, it's just
What
happened.
It's what happened. It
Well,
sounds
you know how
great.
these things go. It's like one guy does it and everyone goes, that's cool, let's
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And then the next guy does it and suddenly it's a thing.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's a tradition.
Yeah.
I think that's how these things start. So you really, teaching is very important to you,
Yeah.
I know, as a way of sharing and giving back your knowledge.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your teaching and what you do with that.
Okay, other than academic teaching, which I
Mm-hmm.
did for 25 years, recently retired, I've also just taught in community classes for most of my adult life. Cuban, Martinique and Ghanaian music, Brazilian music. And it's something I do. It feels like part of me. It feels like I have this knowledge and I can share it. And if I don't share it, even if I'm not from that culture, if I don't share it, that's a stupid thing because then it's not being shared. So
Right.
I try to do it in a way that teaches about the culture as well as the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So I'm thinking that we should go to the next clip
Okay.
right now. This is from a piece of yours called Dig It Deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows maybe a Latin jazz kind of a
Mm-hmm.
connection in the composition itself. Do you want to say anything about it?
Yeah,
before we start?
this one combines two different Martinican rhythms,
That's-
specific rhythms from Martinique, Belé and Damier, which aren't usually combined in the same piece. And my goal in this band, it's the Julian Gerstin Sextet.
Yep.
My goal here is I play this instrument, the tambour from Martinique, and I've worked hard on it, and I wanted to play it in a jazz setting, so I had to write all the tunes,
Oh, yeah.
which meant I had to become a composer and figure out how to write all tunes. So this particular tune I wrote with those two rhythms in mind. Just like the last one we saw, I wrote with that Bulgarian Kopanica rhythm in mind. This one, I also tried to write something bluesy on mostly one chord. So that's,
All right.
yeah.
Let's-
Except there's one quote in it. I'm not sure what part of the clip you're going to show.
You'll see.
There's one quote in it, which is a traditional Martinican song, which I
Okay.
just love so much. I thought I would use it as kind of an interlude or
Sure,
bridge.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the clip right now and
Okay.
take a look at this and listen. Right, great. So it's a terrific band also.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce the
They're
members of the band?
great musicians.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased and honored that they played with us. And we just recorded a CD.
Yeah.
Eugene Newman on piano, Anna Patton on clarinet, Don Anderson on trumpet, Wes Brown on bass, you couldn't see him in the clip, and Ben James on drums. Right.
So you also play in a group called Iroko Nuevo.
Yes.
And that's a Cuban
Yeah.
group. The thing about them is they're drummers and dancers
Yeah.
in the group. So it's
Yeah.
and including the dance is super important, I think,
Yeah.
with this music, of course. Also, my old friend Lee Edelberg
Yeah.
is in
Also
this-
from Bennington.
Also Bennington,
Yeah.
friend of mine, and also studied with Milford
Yeah.
extensively.
And my wife, Carlene, is one of the singers.
that's right.
Also from Bennington.
Also from Bennington. Yeah, see, it all goes back
Yeah.
to Bennington. It was a very special time, of course, when we were there. We're going to show a clip now from Iroko Nuevo, which focuses on traditional Cuban music.
Yeah.
Do you want to set that up and talk about the band a little bit?
It's a group of 12 people, Cuban folkloric music, including religious music and non-religious music. And what we're going to see is a Colombia, which is a kind of a male show-off dance. One guy at a time gets out in front of the drums and shows off his best moves, and then somebody else tries to one-up him. Women do it nowadays too. It's traditionally just men. The dancer is Miguel Periche, who's from Holguin, Cuba, and that's it. Yeah.
Why don't we go and
then are we going to segue directly?
No, we're going
Okay.
to talk a little bit more and then talk
Okay.
about it. All right, so let's go and watch this next clip of Iroko Nuevo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, to my ears anyway, very traditional sounding Cuban
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
and groove going on there.
Yeah.
Which is
I
great.
just forgot to mention the other dancer, Jahara Khans.
Okay,
I
great.
forgot she was in that. Yeah.
Now, I think it's great. It's beautiful, but we're going to show next a little more of a fusion where there's some hip hop elements coming in. But before that, I know you've deeply studied Martinican music.
Yeah.
What other world cultures have you focused on and gotten into?
Cuba, Brazilian music, although I've never been there. Ghanaian music I was involved with for a long time. I gave it up after actually traveling to Ghana for a while. And,
What happened?
I said, this is so deep and it's such a complicated, rich music. If I'm not going to seriously focus just on this,
Right.
that's it. I've done enough. I learned a lot from
got
it.
some,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I've done a lot of popular styles, and I consider that something that I really enjoy.
Popular Caribbean styles or more
Caribbean and African.
African styles.
High life, Afrobeat.
Right.
Bukanga, which is South African, and which I cannot pronounce correctly because it's got clicks in it.
I can't do that one either.
Yeah. And jazz.
Yeah, jazz,
Yeah.
of course. There's definitely, I hear a strong jazz influence in your music, yeah. So why don't we go to the final clip?
Okay.
This is with Iroko Nuevo again, with a little fusion of hip hop thrown
Yeah,
in.
this is the same piece.
Same piece.
Just later in the same piece, we segued to hip hop. This is world fusion from the Cuban angle.
Okay.
This is Miguel's idea.
Okay.
And he feels that Colombia, especially Colombia dancing, was influential on hip hop in the Bronx in New York in the 1970s, 80s.
Yeah.
So he wanted us to segue from one to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And I want to just point out that the congueros are playing bata style.
One of them is, yeah.
To
Well, I
both
was, yeah,
both you guys
yeah.
are playing sideways, and there's
Yeah.
a bata drum
Yeah.
also in that,
Yeah.
which is a nice way to.
Yeah, I'm doing it so I can get the real bass
Yeah,
out of the
yeah,
bottom of the drum.
exactly. Yeah. So, Julian, I just want to really thank you for
Yeah.
coming on the show today and sharing your music with us. Really
Yeah.
glad to have you
Pleasure.
here. Now we're going to go to our usual thing at the end of the show, where we do some live in the studio playing together and improvising together.
We are?
Yes, we are.
Oh.
That's how we do it.
Oh, okay.
So this is Derrik Jordan. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show today. And being part of the music. Remember, think globally, listen locally, and support independent music.